Want to bring in now Democratic Congressman Mike Quigley of Illinois, who serves on the Appropriations and Intelligence Committees. Congressman, thanks for coming on. Good to see you. You know, this DHS deal is the deal that former Speaker Pelosi actually told me on Monday House Democrats would have voted for. So now that it's back, will you? And what's your understanding of the timeline here?
We're not clear at all on the timeline. I'm not sure we should be taking a victory lap or declaring victory. The bottom line is the Republicans are going to do anything to avoid reforming ICE. I mean, the reason we held out and the reason this mattered is because reforming ICE was extremely important to every American. So I don't see that happening if reconciliation works this way. When they decide to do this, if they're successful, I'm not sure. But all this could have happened a long time ago. The fact of the matter is we had it on the floor, willing to fund everything but ICE, and then come back and work on that to see if that's possible. So obviously, this will be their catch-all. They want to fund this war. They want to do election issues there to make it harder for people to vote. So this is their way to solve a problem, but it's a real blow to rulemaking in the democratic process.
Can I ask, is that why this shouldn't be a victory lap? Or is it because, as you mentioned, the whole genesis of this shutdown was getting more guardrails on ICE after the tragic shooting of 2 Americans at the hands of border enforcement officials? What's your calculus here?
Yeah, look, the shootings that you're talking about, there were 2 others in Chicago, and one of those people was also killed. So this was the centerpiece. It's frustrating. The fact, I think what we had a week ago, that consensus that we would fund everything and then go forward, that was a victory in a sense because there was still hope that the Republicans would understand that the reforms we're talking about are just the typical guidelines that every police force in this country has to follow, right? Take off the mask. You're going to have body cams. We're going to do judicial warrants. There's going to be restrictions on use of force. Just a real important part of how this process goes forward. If we lose this and they go forward with funding this illegal, very, very dangerous war, not having to worry about a filibuster, not having full debate, you know, that's a great concern. That won't be a victory for anyone.
I want to move on to other topics, but I just want to make sure I'm clear. Will you vote for this package if it is, in fact, what the Senate pushed over, which is funding for DHS minus ICE and border protections?
It's going to be 2 tracks. So that I would vote for.
But the
second track that funds ICE and border for 3 years, of course I'm going to vote against that. And understand why they want to do it for 3 years. They know they're going to lose the House, at least. So they want to get while the getting's good, never mind the democratic process. And then, you know, we're going to have to push back under a Republican president to pull back that funding for ICE until changes are made.
And I appreciate the clarity because I think for our viewers, delineating that 2-track process is going to be really important as we do our own unofficial whip counts, voting where things stand. I want to go to another topic because President Trump posted just this morning that he'll soon sign an executive order to pay all employees at DHS. No timeline was given on that, but it comes as TSA workers got some back pay this week. As someone who's on the appropriations committees, do the president's actions there to just pay them sit right with you? That's not the normal order of how money flows in government.
Yeah, let's go back to the Constitution and Article 1 powers. Obviously, all those revenue and all those abilities to expend funds are all in Congress. So this is just another step in which the president has taken that authority away from Congress. And my Republican friends are letting them do that. They're giving up that authority. This is the end of the normal appropriation process, which is far more democratic, I think far more productive. The bottom line, when we go through this process and there's debate and there's disagreement, there's a better product. The fact that the president can willy-nilly decide what to fund and what not to fund, that's an autocratic regime. It's not our democracy, as the Founding Fathers wrote it in the Constitution.
And finally, Congressman, Trump said last night that the objectives are nearing completion when it comes to the war in Iran. He also said then that he planned to hit Iran harder over the next 2 to 3 weeks. From where you sit on the Intel Committee, which explanation is closer to the stated truth that you've gotten in your briefings?
The stated truth that I've gotten for 9 years on the Intel committees, if you're really going to change the regime, or if you're going to obliterate, as he said we already did last year, the nuclear program, That's troops on the ground, and a hell of a lot of them. It is an all-out war. So the president is covering his bases. He's basically saying, we already have regime change, even though we don't. It's just leadership change, right? And it's not about that. And he can say what he wants now, but in the bottom line, just a few days ago, he was talking about unconditional surrender, which will never, never happen. We're still in a dangerous situation. Wars in the Middle East don't go by script. The president can't control it from afar, and it's still very dangerous to our troops, to our economy, to the homeland, to our allies. The threat of escalation is still there.